Your habits will shape your life, and it will determine how rich you become, how successful you become, or how broke, stupid, and ugly you remain. So if you want to have a great life, you have to have amazing habits. And in this video, I'm going to break down 7 of the top habits of 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs. These are habits that I use. These are habits that my rich friends use. I have a lot of friends, man, who have a lot of money to help us get to the bag. You might have seen some videos on this topic. Here's some habits of rich people. Wake up early. Set goals, make your bed. It's like, it ain't gonna be no basic like that. These are extreme habits. And some of you guys are gonna see these habits and you'll be like, oh man, that's too much for me. I can't do all that. I'm a bitch. For you, man, I thank you, man. I thank you for like really understanding who you are and what you're capable of. Somebody gotta drive the Ubers until we get the robot. Somebody gotta do all the regular shit, and that's you. But for the rest of us, here are 7 extreme habits of 7-figure entrepreneurs. I think I might have 8. I might throw a little extra in there. Habit number 1, something I'm calling neural cycle scheduling. This is designing your workday around your brain waves and not necessarily the clock. What I mean by that is someone like Hermosi, the big homie, he schedules his day into 4 3-hour blocks. The first hour day is him like doing stuff to promote stuff. The second block of the day is him building stuff, actually doing work. And the third or fourth hour day is some shit I forgot. I follow a similar schedule. So for me, in the morning, I do the boring work, the boring business operation shit. You know, I wake up early and I get a bunch of shit done that I fucking hate. I subscribe to the theory to do the worst first. You know, shit that I have to do, but I don't enjoy. Accounting, responding to emails, shit like that. At afternoon, I'll take my meetings. This is where I have like meetings with my content team, my operations team, or any other meetings that I schedule. I schedule like midday, mid-afternoon, right? Afternoon is when I do more creative work, where this would be like writing scripts for like short form or long form video, or even like creating long form video. Like, this is where I do creative stuff, because I find that me personally, I'm more creative when the sun starts to set. I don't know why. And then I go to sleep early so I can wake up early and do the boring shit again. I'm not the only person to do this. It's not just me and Hermosi. Homie Jack Dorsey, he started Twitter and Square. And, you know, he does shit in the morning where he has like, you know, his morning routine where it's like cold plunges, meditation. He does that shit all before the sun rises. And then he goes into where he starts doing like his creative work, like writing, product design. A lot of people like creative work in the morning. That's not my thing. You got to schedule it based off your circadian rhythms and the shit that works well for you. But this way you're not fighting your biology. You sync your productivity with your biology. Now, if you got a job, a regular ass job, then it's not something you'll be able to do every day. So you got to do what's best for you around your schedule. When I had jobs, I would wake up early, or I'll work on the weekends, 12 hours on Saturdays and Sundays. So whatever works best for you. The next habit is something I'm calling brutal feedback loops. Meaning, I'm always looking at what I've done and having my team look at what I've done and not just tell me what I did good or try to kiss my ass, right? But I want to know how we can improve. And a lot of it is based off data. So for example, Nima, he's kind of in charge of the YouTube. He'll look at the actual data and say, hey, when you did this kind of video, it performed better. When you make the short form video, when you're standing with your shirt off, talking about food, those videos seem to do better. That's real shit that he said. So we look at the data, we got that feedback from the market, and we started making more shirtless pool food videos. It's like that with everything. So I really asked my team, yo, what can I do better? So you always want to look for like these feedback loops in a good way. So my homie, Derek Moneyberg, every time we do an event, I've been friends with Derek for like, I don't know, 11 years now. A lot of times we would do speaking events at the same time. First thing he was asking me is like, yo, what could I have done better? Derek got more money than me. He still looks at me and say, hey, what can I do better? I got more money than Nima, I think. But I still like, yo, man, what can I do better? And I give him the power to tell me what to do, even though I'm the boss. It's almost like I hire them to tell me what to do, but based off feedback. So Ray Dalio, big homie Ray, he built the biggest hedge fund of all time, Bridgewater Capital. He has something in his organization called radical transparency. And this is a system where every employee gets to rate his decisions, including the ones that call him out. So all his employees can rate his decisions, right? And he goes back at that feedback, and then he makes better decisions as a result. Ray Dalio, one of the richest people on planet Earth. You know, it makes a lot of sense for you to do this. How do you implement that in your life? Well, one thing you can do, even if you don't have outside forces, right? When you're doing something, look at the results you're getting. Look at the data. Okay, am I getting the results that I want, right? If not, then I need to change some of these variables. And if you can have outside people, coaches are great for this. If you have a coach, then it makes it a lot easier. A coach or a mentor or someone, hey, I did this is what happened, what can I do better? And that's gonna make it like significantly better. Or you can ask employees or people you trust or people whose opinions you respect. That feedback can be super valuable. The next habit, I'm calling it rejection training. You know, learning to get comfortable with a rejection. And this is very important if you're somebody who has to deal with sales. If you have to do sales of any kind, and if you have a business, you gotta make sales in some capacity. So this is where you actually seek out rejection in a way where you become immune to it. I see a lot of people when they get into some sort of sales position or they have to sell their own product, they start talking to me and they'll say something like, man, I couldn't close this deal because of blah, 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 blah. And you know, I want to look at what they did, what they could have did better. But at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, how many sales calls do you have this week? And you're like, oh, just one. I'm like, oh man, you tripping over one? Like nobody has 100% close rate. You got to get comfortable with that no, with that rejection. And the more comfortable you get with it, the fear of that will actually go away and you'll perform better because you're not scared of rejection if you're used to rejection. Sarah Blakely, she was the founder of Spanx. That was the really first famous shapewear company where women would like buy this shit, make them look less fat. You know, man, if she's a successful woman, but she's doing devil's work, she's a billionaire off shape-shifting pantyhose and leggings, right? But she said her father used to do some shit. He would have her make a list of her failures every day. She said it reprogrammed her brain to not think about failure as rejection, but think about failure as growth, as opposed to shame. Because you kind of have to fail a little bit and get rejected a little bit to become successful, probably a lot. If you could reframe that rejection as, okay, I learned what didn't work, now I can cross that out, I can try another way. You know, you might have to like just start cold approaching chicks or something. Don't be weird about it, but just, you know, you're gonna get rejected a lot, and if you get comfortable with it, you'll be cool. The next tip I'm calling adversity simulation. So this is training for chaos before it arrives. Getting good at handling chaos. A lot of people do things like extreme sports, cold plunging, fasting, anything that's like difficult. But once they've been through that difficulty, then regular business shit won't seem as insurmountable because they went through something else. This is not something that I had to practice. I think just growing up in Chicago, I grew up on the south side of Chicago twice. I saw dead bodies on the way to school, like motherfuckers got shot. One of my teachers got beat up by another student in 5th grade, you know, like we had metal detectors in middle school. Grew up in a gang-infested wasteland. That kind of environment presents a lot of opportunities for misfortune. Once I've been through that, like the business world didn't seem as stressful to me. How you can replicate that in your life, you know, if you grew up in a nice, comfy environment, that's dope. Maybe you have to do some shit like cold plunge every day or run a fucking marathon or something to put yourself through something difficult. I really do think it's helped me. Like going through that adversity, I really do believe it's helped me in business or even in trading, you know, because, you know, I've been trading for like 5 years. And one of the main things that'll fuck you over trading is fear, greed, and emotions. I think I handle it a lot better than most people would because, you know, I've had like guns in my face. So I really believe that's going to help you out a lot. Simulate adversity in your life. So when it's more extreme than what you have to go through in business, because when you go through those business extremes, they won't seem as difficult and then you'll become less fragile. You know what a good example? It's kind of like the calluses on your hands. If anybody's been lifting weights without gloves, anybody's been lifting weights without gloves, you have calluses. And I have a ton of them, right? So it's when I first started lifting weights, it hurt, but now it's nothing. Like I forget that it hurts some people's hands to lift weights now. Fucking 26 years of calluses, it made me tough. Or even playing guitar, I have these calluses on my fingertips from years of playing guitar. And it's so much easier. That's what you're gonna be like. You're gonna have like mental calluses if you put yourself through adversity. So when you go through the regular shit, it's nothing. I mean, the next habit is something I'm calling extreme self-surveillance. Treating your life like game film. What you need to be doing, especially when you're first starting out, record your sales calls if you're doing sales. Like if you're doing public speaking, go over your speeches. If you're making content, go over your content. Or you can film your workouts or film your body language, however you can. What this is gonna do is you'll notice certain things about yourself. It may have slipped past you. I edited the first 1,000 videos on this channel. And when I was editing those videos, like, oh, I need to learn how to speak better. Because when you have to edit out all the ums and filler words, I didn't want to edit that much. So I had to develop a way to stop saying as much. I'm not saying I'm the most eloquent person in the world, but it's way better than it was when I first started. And that's because I observed myself. And you can do that with anything, man. Anything you want to get better at, find a way to film or record yourself doing it and really study that game film. So for example, someone like Kobe Bryant used to spend hours a day looking at his own footage, obsessively fixating over micro movements that, you and I probably wouldn't even have noticed. That's why he's one of the best ever, and all that's why he's a legend. See what you can learn and what you can improve, and then take that into your next endeavor. The next habit I'm calling total calendar domination. You guys probably knew this was coming. This is where you plan every hour of every day, including your rest, workouts, meals, and even thinking time in your calendar. I use Google Calendar, but you plan every hour of every day, and you leave no space for distraction or chaos. If someone said, hey, yo, Brandon, give me one tip, and it would be this: plan every hour of every day in your calendar. This is the cheat code to success in any endeavor. Everyone I've ever mentored who actually did this, within 90 days, they was unrecognizable. They were in better shape because they started planning their workouts and their meals and when they were going to go to sleep. They all made more money because they started planning when they were going to work on certain things in their business. What you notice is two things happen. One, you realize, man, I've been wasting a fucking ton of time, and you'll start to get so much more done each day. You do this shit for a month, 3 months, 90 days, you will run circles around competition. Everyone you know will look at you and be like, man, this motherfucker is different. What have you been doing? You locked in. Plan every hour of every day in your calendar. Second thing you'll notice is almost all your bad habits will be gone, right? Because you're not gonna plan getting high, smoking weed, unless it's a priority for you, right? If smoking weed's a priority, then yeah, put it in the calendar. If you're trying to quit video games, don't put it in your calendar. You have your calendar filled up with other productive shit. So there won't be no time for video games. Recreational drugs, alcohol, gooning, all the bad habits you have, they'll kind of just disappear. You won't have to do no wild, extravagant thing to quit these habits. You won't have time for it. Your calendar will be blocked out every day. Like when I quit smoking weed and drinking alcohol, it wasn't even like, man, I'm gonna quit smoking weed and drinking alcohol. I didn't have time to do it. And then fucking year went by, I was like, oh shit, I ain't really drank this year. I haven't smoked weed all year. Like if you get full off healthy food, you won't have to worry about eating junk food because you'll be full. You won't even have the desire. Instead of just trying to deprive yourself and replace it with other stuff. It's a super effective way to quit any bad habit. Now you're still an addict. So when your calendar is not filled, you're gonna fill that time with something, and it's probably gonna be weed smoking, video game gooning. But if you do this, man, you'll be so productive. I'm not even the only one who does this, right? Elon Musk schedules his life in 5-minute blocks. Every meeting, workouts, when he's gonna eat his food, it's all in his calendar. This is how he can manage multiple billion-dollar companies and have like 13, 14 kids while being a ketamine addict. You know what I'm saying? I don't know this, don't sue me. I don't know this, that allegedly. You can't do that without a schedule. You can't do that. You can't be that prolific. So what you're gonna do is stop managing time and start weaponizing the time. Put everything you do in your calendar. Put your sleep. If you got a job, put that in there. Put your commute. Choreograph your days instead of freestyling them. This one is kind of unique to me. I don't know if I have a lot of examples of historical figures or famous people who've done this, but this really helped me a lot. I call this glucose mastery. Is when you manage your glucose levels to be more productive. So a lot of you guys, you'll eat food and then you slow down. You won't be as productive after you eat. There's a few reasons for that. One, sometimes your body uses energy to break down the food, but one of the major reasons is y'all eating sugary candy and bullshit, or refined carbohydrates, shit that spikes your glucose levels. So here's the thing, when you're eating carbohydrates, especially simple carbohydrates, they convert to something called glucose or glycogen. When your blood glucose levels go above 110, your pancreas secretes a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is to flush out all this excess glucose in your body so you don't die. Your pancreas sees all that glucose as a fucking emergency. It's gonna really spike your insulin levels and flush out as much glucose as possible. Here's a problem with that. It overdoes it, it overshoots it, and it takes away a lot of glucose from your brain. And your brain is running on glucose. So you get motherfucking tired and sleepy after that shit. To combat that, what you really need to do is manage your fucking glucose levels. I learned this when I first started doing intermittent fasting, like a long time ago, maybe like 15 years ago. I was intermittent fasting, and I noticed that once I got used to intermittent fasting, I had so much energy during the fast. I was so productive during the fast. And then when I broke that fast around 3 or 4, it was over. I had to get all my work done before 3 or 4, because when I broke that fast, it was a wrap. And when I went to the ketogenic diet, I noticed, oh man, I had energy all day. And it's because my glucose levels stayed level. Actually, they stayed like super low, which was fine, because when you're on a ketogenic diet, in absence of glucose, your liver produces something called ketones, and that's the new fuel that your body runs off of, right? And it's more stable than glucose. I digress. You don't have to go keto. What you do need to do is make sure you monitor your glucose levels. So one thing you can do to keep your glucose levels in check is to stay away from sugar, man. You don't need to eat sugar. You ain't no motherfucking child. You ain't a baby. This ain't preschool. This ain't the playground. You know what I'm saying? Eat like a man. And a man should be eating protein at every meal. So even if you eat carbohydrates, don't eat your carbohydrates by themselves. Stay away from sugar. Just stay away from sugar and eat your carbohydrates with protein, right? And if you can eat your carbohydrates with protein, what happens is it mitigates the glucose spike, so your body doesn't produce as much insulin. Another thing you can do is after you eat, especially if you're eating carbohydrates, go on a little walk. That'll stabilize your glucose levels as well. Another trick you can do is before you eat something that you know is going to be high on the glycemic index, eat some cinnamon before it. Like take a cinnamon pill, and cinnamon before meals keeps your glucose levels more stable. I don't know why, but these are things you can do. But for me, I'm just keto, so it's not something I have to worry about anymore. I do keto for this reason. People always ask me about carnivore. Carnivore and keto are not the same thing. They're like cousins, right? Because if you're doing a carnivore diet, you're probably going to be in ketosis. Carnivore diet is just like, okay, I'm gonna focus on one food group, meat. And with ketogenic diet, it's about your macronutrient ratio. The keto macros you can be vegan and do keto. You have more diverse food choices, right? However, you'll probably get similar results to what I'm talking about. If you wanted to do carnivore, you can do it. I'm gonna give you an 8th tip: perpetual learning. Every rich dude I know is always learning something or reading, right? I get with some of my rich friends and we start talking about our favorite books. I was on a private jet with my homie Bulletproof John. We were geeking out on each other's audibles. Like we were looking to see what books we had on Audible, you know, and we were giving recommendations and we were buying the books immediately. You know, my boy Jeremy makes a lot of money, man. He's recommending books. Like we're talking about book recommendations. I recommend a book to him, he'll buy it like on the spot. Same with me. He recommended like 5 books last time I was at his crib. I just bought them all on the spot. This is like normal at the highest levels. For example, Warren Buffett, he spends 80% of his day reading. Now he's an old man. Fuck else he gonna do, right? Him and Bill Gates, they interviewed like years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And he said, if you could have one superpower, what would it be? And they both said to read faster. I don't know any super successful people who don't read a lot. I've heard some guys say that, to say they don't read. I've heard some guys say that. Like these books ain't decoration. Like I've read more books than you see behind me. Like I have twice as many books as this in storage. And then that's not even counting what's on my Kindle or my Audible. Every time I'm in the gym, when I'm working out, people are always asking me, oh, yo, man, what do you listen to when you work out? What's your gym playlist? I listen to audiobooks. People think I'm listening to Lil Baby or Kashi 6ix9ine or something. It's like, nah, man, I'm listening to Brian Tracy, man. I'm listening to Lil Tracy. Because I just always want to be learning. And the more you learn, the more you sperm, man. If you want to know some of the best books you can read to make money, I got a video all about that. Go check that out. And it's a really good video because if I tell you a book is good, it means something. I've been reading 2 books a week for like 15 years. Go check that video out right now.